Hey everybody, I'm Ben Higgins.
Hey, I'm Serena Pitt.
Hey, this is Blake Moynes.
Hey guys, I'm Brendan Scanzano.
Hi, this is Alana Milne.
Hey, I'm Lindsay Hamilton.
And you're watching The Bros Ceremony.
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 And you're watching Bros Ceremony.
And you're watching The Bros Ceremony.
This is The Bros Ceremony.
Your journey's about to begin.
Recapping the week that was in Bachelor Nation and previewing what's to come in the next episode with some special betting odds.
Everyone can't wait to find out what happens next week.
Here are your hosts, Michael the Hound Dog Harrison and Adam Scully.
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
I think that might have been the first kiss of paradise.
Hello
and welcome inside episode 28 of the Bros Ceremony podcast. Adam Scully alongside Michael the Hound Dog Harrison. And Michael, you know me, I like to pick one of the lines used during the episode as the cold open, or the way to start this spiel off. And we didn't hear that line at all during episode 1 of the Bachelor in Paradise, did we not?
Yeah, I didn't actually count how many times that they said that. I would have guessed. I want to maybe say 4 or 5 couples.
Yeah.
All thought they, and I don't know how long they were on that beach for, but it seemed like at that point, at least through the episode, it was probably at least almost around halfway through the first episode. So it's like, you would think that law of averages would suggest that they wouldn't have been the first one to have the first kiss, because it seemed like they had been there for quite a few hours. So yeah, they might have been a bit wrong on that one.
Might have been a bit wrong, but you know what? We had the anticipation meter was on a high note going into into Bachelor in Paradise. I know for me, it's my favorite of the Bachelor series. We'll see Bachelor in Paradise Canada, which we'll get to in a little later. And that's coming up around October, I believe, on Sunday evening. So that might put a bit of we'll have to discuss how we'll handle that on the Bros Ceremony. But it's just exciting to see everyone all together again and looking for love. Before we dive deep into the details of the episode, any first impressions from the episode itself?
I actually felt, I remember saying at the end of the last episode we recorded, previewing the season of Bachelor in Paradise, I had said the last few seasons felt really, really overproduced to me, to where it felt like they were, I know it's obviously clearly it's obviously not reality per se, but it really felt like it was over the top with them trying to drive home storyline points and such. I actually felt this first episode was a lot better in terms of there weren't as many obvious, ridiculous, over the top things that they were covering, so I think it has a bit more potential in that sense of it just being feeling a little more real. So I did like that. But the one thing that I was really, really rattled about, but correct me if I'm wrong, and I hope I am wrong about this. I was waiting for the Bachelor in Paradise theme song, Almost Paradise, but there was no song. Now, am I wrong with this? Do they normally not have that song every first episode of the series?
You know what, Michael, as I love to say on repeat on this, only time will tell, because I do believe that when tonight's episode gets underway at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC or City TV or wherever you are watching, I think it'll start with that. And where you'll see, the incredibly cheesy and dramatic, walking down the beach, or, putting lotion on, or, swimming, or that sort of thing. And that's where we will hear Almost Paradise.
I hope so, because I was expecting it. I'm like, where is the song? But then I got to thinking again, like I said, maybe they don't normally show it until episode 2 of every season of Bachelor in Paradise. I honestly cannot remember. But I hope that's the case, that we do get to hear that song, because that's the show. You can't have the Bachelor in Paradise without that song.
That's right.
Not possible.
That's right. Now, in terms of us, as our audience knows, we are Canadian. We're in the Toronto area. And Serena Pitt, also from the Toronto area. And Michael, she was the first one on the beach. Now, as you may recall, we had her on the Bros Ceremony here, where we asked her about being on Paradise, what her thoughts were, and she was very open to it. Great to see Serena being first on the beach. What were your thoughts on Serena throughout this episode?
Well, like we were again talking about last episode, there might be a streak here going, because we had Blake on, then he found love. Serena Pitt, perhaps because she was on before on the Bros Ceremony, maybe she will find love, because obviously it seemed like quite a few gentlemen suitors were interested in her. Obviously her in the grocery store Joe situation seemed to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she was able to sort of talk to him and keep him around, because for a while there, it looked like he might decide to bail, which would have been too bad. Of course, oftentimes I even though I've seen the season preview and they've shown multiple scenes of grocery store Joe, I still sometimes kind of forget that, oh, right. No, of course he didn't leave, because obviously we see so many other scenes of him, obviously, right? But it seemed like, yes, Serena will hopefully find love, and then we could have, again, another past guest on this show find love. That'd be spectacular.
Now, speaking of past guests on this show, we have to mention Brendan, because maybe he'll find love at some point, because he was on the bros ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have had some conversations, some group chats with our good friend Brendan. Who knows? Maybe he'll find love, whether it's potentially back on the Bachelor series or around the streets of Toronto. But Michael, now we discussed at length the burgeoning bromance and the amount of FOMO you had after you were not in attendance at the Arkells at Bud Stage. Walk me through your level of FOMO at this particular moment surrounding our good friend Brendan.
As you can tell, I'm pretty rattled right now, Adam. Yeah, you guys have gotten to go out and see each other twice now. Yeah, I'm sure you'll talk about the place that you guys were at in detail, just to try to cheese me off some more. Yeah, you guys have hung out twice. I've hung out 0 times, and I'm going back to Arnprior for a little visit back home again to see the family. So I won't be able to see him the next couple of weekends as well. And I'm sure in the meantime, you'll probably see him like every single day for the next 2 weeks.
Every single day.
Yep, that's my assumption. That's my prediction. Hound Dog is calling that, just to really rub my nose in it and really cheese me off, because it is, as you could tell, rattling me that I have not met Brendan yet. Although I've had a couple of FaceTimes with him, and he seemed like an absolute Butron.
That's right. I'm looking forward to seeing the social media reaction off of this rant, because this will be released. This clip in itself will be coming out on Instagram in a couple of days. And I know people will be going a little nuts over Michael's FOMO. Will that FOMO last a couple weeks longer? It sure sounds like it.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. But getting back to paradise here. So Serena's on the beach running around with a Canadian flag. It was awesome. And then, of course, the general cheese shots, the glamour shots. Brendan L., who many thought would show up to paradise in a turtleneck, because that's all he wore when he was on Tayshia's season. The shower shots of him, thinking, oh, I'm ready for love again. But one of the most controversial, interesting characters in Bachelor history made her return, and that was Victoria. No longer Queen Victoria, goddess. Back. Thoughts on Victoria being back on Paradise?
It seems like, I know it's only very, very early into the process here, Adam, but through the first episode, it doesn't seem like she was as hated amongst her cast members there as she might have been the first season she was originally on. So has she, now that she's a goddess as opposed to a queen, has she completely, changed her perspective and outlook and basically a personality transplant? So people now like her. Only time will tell. But at least so far, it does seem like she's actually, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a word that starts with an I. Implementing herself well with the group here, and I'm very excited. That's one character that I am actually excited to see her journey to find love.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing which Victoria shows up. Oh, you're thinking here.
Did I say implementing? I meant to say integrating.
You did say implementing, but integrating does make a little more sense. Yeah. You know what? It was like when we had Alana and Serena on this show, we asked them about Queen Victoria, and they both sort of said, what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, like we spoke to Brendan about getting a quote unquote bad edit, perhaps, of not actually being seen much. But obviously Queen Victoria took over that season with Matt James when she was a part of it, when she was on. So I'm just looking forward to seeing more of her. And, some people have thought maybe she's an actress because her bit can't seem real. I don't know, like the whole the 5-second rule thing where she talks about her strategy of seeing a guy on the beach where she'll just look at him for 5 seconds. Like, does that actually work? I've never tried it. Have you tried that?
Clearly my powers of any strategies or anything of that ilk have not worked in my lifetime, obviously. So you're talking to the wrong gentleman there, Adam. But I would assume, well, at least in this episode, obviously it didn't work. Obviously that's the point. They wanted to drive that home and make it seem like it was quite funny. But I don't know. You should try it and then get back to me on how that goes.
We'll have an extensive review of the 5-second rule coming up next week on the Bros Ceremony. Now, a couple other entrances which were noteworthy, some would say. Kenny. Kenny looks like he's been on, like hasn't stopped working out for the last couple of months. And now he showed up and there was the black box surrounding his nether regions, assuming that he was naked, saying he was naked. And it would appear that he was fully in the nude. Michael, do you think Kenny was actually naked?
No, I honestly think that they would have it just wouldn't have been the best look. Obviously, some people would have been very, very uncomfortable with all that, understandably. Right. I just don't think. I think there's too much potential. Yeah, that could happen. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case at all. Would you ever do that, by the way? Would you ever show up naked to a show like that as your entrance? How much money would I have to pay you for you to do that?
Oh, wow. That's a question right there.
Saying, assuming, of course, that you were allowed to do it. Because like I said, I don't think Kenny did actually do that.
I would say several millions.
Several millions.
Several. Not just
millions,
one, not 2, not 3, not 4. Yeah. You like that reference there? A little LeBron.
Pretty good.
No, okay. So
millions.
Holy. Millions. How about you? Would it be like $10, $15?
I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. But when we start talking about 6 digits, then we're really starting to talk. I'm not going to 7 digits. I'm thinking like 100,000 or up. I'm thinking like several million. I mean, obviously, maybe I'm not the best at the negotiating contracts because I was thinking 6 figures, but you're saying several million. So I don't know.
I mean, now, Michael, if and when I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. When you're on Bachelor in Paradise Canada at some point here, maybe this season, maybe next season, I will take the role as your agent and I will negotiate all of your terms and you'll be paid handsomely for many things. And you'll get a bunch of sponsors. You'll be a social media influencer. And all in all, life will be great. Now, I do have a theory about Kenny, why I think he was not naked. And as our audience knows, we both work in television. So sometimes we notice things about, some little minute good work details. Now, Kenny was walking away with Mari, not Mary, Mari. And the black box was around his tush. Now, I did notice there was a bit like a little antenna sort of just over his butt because everyone has to be mic'd up, right? Or else you won't hear anyone. So what I think is that he was wearing perhaps a Speedo, perhaps a banana hammock, and it was latched on. So I don't think he was naked.
Ooh, that's a good call. But yeah, because I hadn't even considered the fact that he has to have some sort of mic on so you can hear what he's saying. So that ends the debate, I think, altogether, 100% right there. By the way, speaking of noticing things that were out of sequence or continuity error, so to speak, or whatever. The one that I noticed the most, which was really funny, involved the guest host, David Spade, who I thought was really, really good. Thank you. I got great segments in spades. We'll see what you thought about him. But he was on the beach talking to someone. He was like, "Oh yeah, I arrived late, blah, 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 blah." He has a shirt on. Then he's like, "Oh, let me go to meet the people." And he goes to meet the first person, Serena Pitt, as we mentioned, totally different shirt. So it's like, oh, nice job on the editing on that one, Bachelor in Paradise. That was like right away. But I thought he was outstanding. I thought David Spade was great. Really, really enjoyed him on the show.
Now, I'm going through my notes here. I think I made an error. Was Abigail the first to arrive?
Yes. You're absolutely right. I'm sickened, Adam, that I didn't call you out on that because I didn't realize it until this exact moment. Because in my notes I had written out, and I don't even need this in my notes to know this. I love Abigail, Adam.
Yeah,
think-
you do.
I think I'm fully vulnerable for Abigail. I love her
Yeah.
so much, and she's just the best.
Would you
So
say?
I apologize.
Would you say, Michael, that your walls are down?
I'm actually. This is what I would say to her if I were to meet her. Say, Abigail, I'm vulnerable. Not venerable. I'm vulnerable.
Now, Abigail made quite an impression on a couple of people early on. We'll get to her date with Noah in just a little bit, but early on, we're on the beach and Ivan's there, Joe's there, and they're sort of competing for Serena P early. They're sort of they made that about as awkward as can be in terms of how they produced it. Serena P was a very hot commodity throughout this episode, and Toronto's own. I mean, can you blame them?
Well, speaking of Toronto, though, and speaking of someone who is going, oh man, these segues are just
so good.
Speaking of Toronto, speaking of people who are going for Serena Pitt, going back to grocery store Joe, I wrote in my notes he was ripping Toronto at some point. I think.
Yeah. Okay. What was that? Toronto from the outside is ugly. What?
I have no idea. I don't know, Adam. I wrote it down. I was just flummoxed. The good word. But that's the word of the episode, by the way. Flummoxed. About him saying Toronto. I thought anyway. Yeah, from the outside perspective, that Toronto was considered like one of the better cities to visit, and so on and so forth. So I found that one was a little bit strange. Also, by the way, speaking of Joe, I guess they were just doing it for the show's sake. What really was wrong with his shirt? They were like ripping his shirt and his outfits. Like, who cares? You're on a beach. Who gives a crap? What was wrong with it? I didn't understand that.
Okay, now Michael, you know me. I would like you do. Spoiler alert. I would like to think that I'm somewhat of a fashionista. Somewhat. I like to not be bold, but I like to make sure things match. By the way, this is the first time I've worn this combo together, and I'm actually not against it. It's sort of
pretty good.
But on the beach, like he showed up like he just got out of the gym. It wasn't quite Carl wearing quite actual running shoes on the gym, and where he was joking that they were waterproof when they weren't, so he just ruined his pair of shoes, which is sick, man. I don't know. Like if you're going to the beach, like you're wearing a short sleeve button down, maybe not going all the way Connor with 11 buttons open, but have a couple buttons open. If you have some chest hair, maybe show that off a little bit. But Joe, I mean, do you think the producers influenced that? I don't know.
There was nothing wrong with it. Who cares? You're on a beach. What are you is he supposed to have a suit and tie or something?
No. You just don't wear something. You go to the gym. How about?
Who cares? It's a beach. Who gives a crap, man? It's a beach. You're probably gonna take your shirt off anyway. What's the point? It wasn't anything that was that bad. It really wasn't. I don't understand his shorts that he's wearing. You're going to be wearing shorts unless, of course, you're walking in naked. There's nothing wrong with grocery stores Joe's attire going into that beach. So I thought that was ridiculous, as you could tell.
I love that. Generally speaking, we agree on a lot of things on the Bachelor series, but I wholeheartedly disagree with you.
Well, that's because you're wrong, Adam. You're completely wrong, and you're embarrassing yourself right now. And perhaps people are going to look at this episode and finally realize, Adam, you are not a fashionista. You were completely wrong.
I'm a wannabe fashionista, I guess. Now, speaking of fashionistas or wannabe fashionistas, you mentioned David Spade, and we'll get back here to David Spade. Because, yeah, like you said, I thought he did a pretty good job hosting. There were little jabs here and there. There was the whole thing with Kelsey. Of course, Kelsey had Champagne Gate when she was on Peter's season, where she opened up a bottle of champagne and it popped and it went all over her face. And that became a GIF or a GIF, as some would call it, instantly on the internet. And of course, she walks in with the champagne, ha, 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 and then gives a bottle to Spader, as we'll call him. And he couldn't, a bit of an issue trying to open that. Do you think that was actually, it took him an hour to open it, or was that just editing?
So speaking of what I was talking about earlier about how the show sometimes will overproduce things to make it seem funny and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Unbelievably, I thought the reason he was taking so long to open it, I thought this was the prime opportunity for him to say what she was, I can't open it, to then give her the champagne bottle to get her to then open it.
And then for it to explode everywhere again.
Either that or it goes well or it goes poorly. Either or. I thought that was the perfect bit. That was the setup for the perfect bit. I can't open it. Give it to Kelsey. See how she does again. And they didn't do that. I thought that was just so strange to me. It was right there on a tee for them. and they didn't. They failed to do it. So that is a big time miss, in my opinion, and I'm right on that one.
Again, as we've said time and time again, if we were in charge, boy, oh boy, it would be even more must-see TV. It would be even juicier. But, David Spade's playing guest host. But, Michael, not everyone knew who David Spade was. One person, Tammy, is that Dave Chappelle? That's no.
So I'm so glad you brought that up, because in my notes that I write, because I watched this episode on a Monday night after I go home from work.
Right.
And I wrote all the notes out for the episode, and I had written Dave Chappelle in there, but that's all I'd written. And at the time, obviously I know what I'm talking about. We recorded this a few days after the episode.
Right.
I'd written Dave Chappelle, and I went, "What? Why did I write Dave Chappelle? It makes no sense. I have no understanding or concept of why I would have written that." Obviously, that's why. Thank you. Yeah, that was quite the faux pas by her to not realize it was in fact David Spade. And like I said, hopefully he's back. Clearly, in the preview for the upcoming season, they have a couple other Lil Jon and a couple other. I think Lance Bass was there as well. A couple other guest hosts. I hope David Spade's back. I thought he was really, really good.
It seemed like he got some good reviews online as well from those on the Twitters and the Instagrams complimenting him. Maybe he'll be on the show at some point. That would be pretty riveting, pretty thrilling.
On the bro ceremony, you mean?
On the bro ceremony, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then maybe I don't know if he's single or married. Then he'll find love.
Well, obviously, then, yeah, like I said, it was Blake. It's guaranteed to have all the different guests on the show are guaranteed to find love within a year of being on the show. So that's the bro ceremony guarantee.
That's the bro ceremony, a personal guarantee from Team Bro Ceremony. You just love to see that. Now, Michael, Carl was another focal character on the last season of The Bachelorette with Katie, and how he was saying people weren't there for the right reasons and not really being specific. Now, we actually interacted with Carl. We still might have Carl on the show. Hopefully we will at some point, if and when he is eliminated from Bachelor in Paradise, to discuss his time on the Bachelor series. But when Carl showed up, sort of huggy, lovey-dovey with everyone, but some people just didn't know who he was or hadn't met him. And Noah was one of those guys who said, I have no idea who that guy is. Never met him.
That was so good. And then, he's so bad at first impressions. Tejuan was like, didn't say hi to her initially or something like that. And he said he was testing her or something along those lines. And it was just like, man, this guy, I mean, maybe that's just part of a shtick. He's like, let me play out my shtick even more, perhaps. That's maybe what he was doing. But it's like, oh, man, dude, you're not exactly winning friends very quickly as he did in his initial season. So I think it's entertaining. I hope he stays a long time, just because it's, pretty entertaining. But I brought up Tejuan, and obviously, it's amazing we went through this episode so far. We didn't talk about that. Obviously, I think that probably would be the thing that was most discussed about this episode. The fact that she went on a date she was talking with Trey, and then revealed to Trey that she had gone on a date with his uncle. Thoughts on that? That seems quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, how does that, what's the age difference? I mean, age is just a number, Michael, as we know.
Of course.
But how does that happen? To go from meeting an uncle on a dating app to now dating, or not dating, I'm sorry. Now meeting and kissing, that was an eyebrow raiser to me. Does that make sense?
It's probably another one of those, like the show, like, oh, that'd be kind of funny to throw this in there to kind of get people talking, blah, blah, blah. Right. Probably a little bit. It wasn't too bad, but probably another one of those, like, kind of like little funny anecdotes to throw into the mix for people to discuss online. Fair enough. But again, I ranted about it earlier. I am still so flummoxed. I still don't get why the heck David Spade didn't give that champagne to Kelsey to open just speak that. Why that was right there on a tee for them. I'm still very angry about it, Adam, and very upset.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, it's something that's really bothering you, but we'll get through this moment together. And when we have a Bachelor producer on, or Spader or Kelsey on, maybe we'll ask them that very question. But what actually went down with that champagne bottle, and why she didn't get the chance to open it again. But speaking of opening again, Abigail was handed, God, that was such a good segue, was handed the first date card. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple of options she had, but it was Abigail. Yeah, she got the first date card. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Now, I'm starting to doubt myself, which is not good after making that egregious error early on in the episode. But Abigail gets the first date card and she asks Noah. Now, Noah was somewhat of a controversial figure on his season. He had the mustache. He had Tayshia shave off his mustache, which was an interesting thing in itself. But they have this date, and it seems like he's kind of being friend zoned a little bit by Abigail. Now, I know you have love for Abigail. You're vulnerable towards Abigail.
Yep.
But it seemed like after the friend zone conversation, they both opened up and things went a little better from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, because you said Noah was very much the polarizing figure on his season. I sort of initially thought that she was going to be a little bit more leery of him, but I guess perhaps a lot of these different past guests are like,
good word.
You like that? Yeah,
I do.
You like that? Yeah, I thought she would have been a little bit like, I don't know, this guy's intentions, but I guess because they've been on these seasons, all these people, obviously, they know how editing could make them look good or bad. So perhaps she was like, you know what, let me just give this guy a chance. Because yeah, it did seem like a pretty good first date. Seemed like they were letting their walls down and they were vulnerable. And do I ultimately see them fully together at the end of this? Probably not. If I had to, put on my go into a crystal ball, but it just seems like she would go for someone a bit more wholesome. I got a feeling Noah is going to Noah eventually here, and he's going to do something that's going to really cheese some people off and really ruin the moment. And maybe I'm wrong, as you like to say, Adam. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. Now they did end their night. There were some piñatas involved, but they did kiss, and then there were several other steamy kisses. And that's where the line, I think is the first kiss of paradise. This is the first kiss of paradise. And there were a couple other couples who just sort of started going at it, and everyone started coupling up pretty quickly, which is a lot quicker than we thought. And then Wells, who is pseudo playing the quasi host with David Spade, he said it was the most amount of makeup sessions on day one in Bachelor in Paradise history.
I guess I just feel like people are just so worried that they're going to be eliminated from a show so quickly that they almost pair up instantly if they can, just to make sure they have that cover, at least for the first episode or two. So then they could actually truly, obviously, I'm sure some of them actually do like the person they're hanging out with. Mm-hmm. But it seems like initially they're like, let me just find a pair so we can couple up and then we can figure stuff out a few episodes later. I think that's a lot of these people's, their strategy going into this whole process.
This whole process, this whole journey. That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. And at the end of the episode, they teed it up. And I think in the past, I think I've grown here a little bit, Adam, and maybe not for the better on this one. In the past, they had the end of the episode. Demi is like, oh, she's coming in to really stir up the pot and da-da-da-da. And I've talked about her last episode. In the past, I would have been excited, so ecstatic to see her, really, mess things up, and it would be so funny. But I don't know. Honestly, I'm just a little bit fatigued with the whole thing. I think, I'm sure it will be fine with her, but I don't know. I just talk about someone who's not there for the right reasons, if I may say so myself there, Adam.
Oh, that's a bit of a hot take, but I don't disagree with you. And, she came in basically saying she's going to stir the pot. She's going to break up. I know it's only been 2 or 3 days at this point, but she's going to, or maybe one day, she's going to come in and try to find love.
Bleep stuff up, I believe it was her last parting. A lot of bleeps in that last statement that she said.
That's right. Now there were also the Serena P and Grocery Store Joe talking about their age gap. Age is just a number. There's a 12-year age gap between them, lying on the couches. And this one to me, it was just sort of like, it was just like a kind of awkward, weird conversation. And then things got a little steamy and we saw yet another hot makeout.
Now that seemed like, again, like it just seems so quick. But again, it's I swear a lot of these people are just like so worried that they're going to be gone so quickly. They're like, the pressure's on to basically find someone instantly. So then, I guess that just expedites, good word, the process a little bit. It really gets people going to be able to try to couple up so quickly. So it does seem pretty good. But as we saw in the preview for the upcoming season, things might not be such a easy road for the two of them, as one of Grocery Store Joe's exes may or may not arrive on the scene in the coming episodes.
Well, Michael, that is the beauty of Paradise. There will be tears. There will be drama. There will be friendship. But most importantly, there will be love. Who will find love? Will there be engagements? Will we see some fights? Because these teasers coming up, it seems like guys are going toe to toe here. We got cakes going and fire. We've got a bunch of everything.
Aaron is just so angry. He'd always just see, he was, I think he was yelling at Thomas and Ivan, I believe in the preview. It's like, man, he just wants to throw down and chuck some knuckles, which would be very interesting.
That would be very interesting, but who's going to find love? Who's going to get involved in all the drama? Who's going to be the pot stirrer of the season? Michael, only time will tell. Before we sign off, what's that?
Sorry to interrupt there, Adam. I just had a brainwave, and I apologize profusely for interrupting you there.
It's okay.
How will Queen Victoria and Demi, will they be best buddies?
Oh, wow, what a question.
They were the respective villains of their season. Will they be buddies, or will they hate the fact that they're not the ultimate villain and they'll hate each other? That's that dynamic. Actually, I'm really interested and intrigued. Yeah, I said interested a lot this episode. So weird. Interesting that I said interesting so much. But no, the Demi and Queen Victoria dynamic, that's really intriguing to me, Adam.
It's really fascinating that you're interested in the intrigue between Demi and Victoria, Goddess Victoria, as we're calling her now. Two type A personalities. I don't know, but you know what, Michael? I guess we've said, only time will tell. But episode 2 gets underway tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, City TV, ABC, and then it's a day-night doubleheader, Monday and Tuesday, tomorrow night as well. We'll see more drama. I'm curious how long this season's going to go, given back-to-back days. Is there going to be a break, or is this going to go right into October when Michelle's season of The Bachelorette gets underway? I'm curious because there's going to be a lot of Bachelor content here coming up. And Michael, as we always say, you love to see that.
I would imagine my guess would be it goes for a month. And so there'd be 8 episodes total, or so maybe 9 episodes total, because they had the one episode the first week. And then for the next 4 weeks have the Monday, Tuesday twin bill double headers. So that I would say 9 episodes in total. And yeah, I guess it'd be 5 weeks in total for the season. I'm not sure exactly where that lines up to then have the Bachelorette starting in October there, but around that time, probably maybe a week or 2 off, and then boom, right back at it.
Love it. And there'll be so much stuff coming out, who's going to be the next Bachelor. I saw some what would have been spoilers on Instagram, but you'll be proud of me because these people posted a spoiler alert, and it was one of those like where you have to swipe to see. I saw that, but didn't actually click on the post.
Wow. I said I was growing in this episode. So are you, Adam.
We're growing here together. And you know what? You know why we're also growing, Michael? We're now 28 episodes in to the Bros Ceremony podcast. We are approaching the milestone number 30, the Marty Brodeur edition. We're getting closer and closer to that milestone. It's been a fun ride so far. We're at around 30 subscribers on Instagram, on YouTube as well. Thousands of views on our Instagram posts in the last couple of weeks. And I know this week there will be a lot of Instagram play, especially from our Serena discussion, Go Team Canada, and of course, our good friend Brendan, who you have extreme FOMO about. Yeah. I can't describe to you how rattled I am, as you can see in my facial expressions. Just at some point, hopefully I meet him. Hopefully you guys don't have a falling out or something, and all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I don't like these Bro Ceremony guys at all. So screw these guys completely, and then I never meet him at all. That would crush me so much. It would. But Michael, you know what? I doubt that's going to happen. The 3 of us are going to see each other and just have a time. So Brendan, again, thank you for the invite this past week, and looking forward to seeing you again soon. Michael, looking forward to our next episode, which will come out next Monday, where we will we'll recap episode 2 and 3 of Bachelor in Paradise. We'll preview episode 4 and 5. And who knows, maybe some other juicy information coming out from us from Team Bro Ceremony. I guess, Michael, as they say, only time will tell. To all of our followers, Thank you for subscribing to us on YouTube. Thank you for following us on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for viewing our stuff. Thank you for reposting our stuff, because we love to see these numbers climb and climb and climb. We're approaching 500 followers on Instagram. I'm looking forward to growing this into a much bigger brand. It's a good time to be on Team Bros Ceremony. Michael, before I sign off here, any final thoughts on episode 1?
Wow, it's so funny. Every time you ask me any final thoughts, I don't have any final thoughts. And then when you don't ask me any final thoughts, that's when I have the final thoughts. So my final thoughts are that exactly.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And I will continue to not ask you before we record if I'm going to ask you a final thought question, because I like to keep you on your toes. Episode 2 of Bachelor in Paradise gets underway just hours from now, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. We'll be back next week for a full recap of Bachelor in Paradise and a preview of what's to come that night and the following night of Bachelor in Paradise. We're in the dog days of summer. BIP is here. Almost Paradise is now actually paradise, because we are in the midst of what's going to be a dramatic season. Thank you for listening and watching episode 28 of the Bros Ceremony. For Michael the Hound Dog Harrison, I'm Adam Scully. We'll see you next time right here on the Bros Ceremony.